Hi everybody, this is Everyday Commentary, and this is a video overview of this knife. This knife is a knife that was a collaboration between myself and TT PockeTTools. I made a wood mock-up of the knife, and I made some drawings for him so he'd know like the dimensions and where to put everything. But basically this was designed to be an everyday carry fixed blade. It was supposed to be under 6 inches long, which we succeeded. And when you put it in the sheath, it's actually quite secure. No jiggle. And you can easily carry it in your pocket. One of the cool things about this design is that sometimes with fixed blades, they will have a tendency to roll, because this part gets narrow, or they'll have a tendency to slide in your pocket, maybe get off angle. But because this is wide at the bottom, it sort of locks it into your pocket. As you can see, it kind of goes along the angle of the pocket. It kind of sticks in there. I'm playing around. I think I'm probably either going to put some desert ironwood or some stabilized redwood handle scales on it. I haven't decided yet. The blade is a very small reverse Tonto blade, and there's a thumb ramp here, and then sort of a normal handle here. And something of a parrot's beak to give you something to lock into. A nice pinch point there for your finger and for your thumb and your finger to rest on. And the way that I designed the back was that if you wanted to, you could kind of grip it in a reverse grip. And when you grip it in a reverse grip, it sort of matches up with the fat of your hand. So you got a little bit of a extra hook to hold it in place. Todd put these this really heavy file work jimping up here at the top, and I like it a lot. It gives you even more control. So if you wanted to cut from here, you can. If you wanted to get like right on the stuff you're cutting, you can get right up there. It's a relatively thick stock, and I believe this is 154 cm, which is a steel I like, so it's fun. There's a little bit of jimping here as well to match the jimping up here. The sheath is a Kydex press-fit taco-style Kydex sheath, and it locks in. One of the things that we were playing around with was having this hole here, and the whole idea of the hole, in addition to giving you some sort of visual focus, was to maybe use it to register the Kydex sheath. I wasn't sure where I wanted the handles to go, so it just barely locks into the Kydex sheath. Either way, it's still really secure, and the way that Todd designs his sheaths, they all have like a way to take them out one-handed, so you can just pop that out if you really wanted to. I like the Kydex that he uses. It's nice and solid. He did a really good job here. And Todd did a really good job at all the edges. The edges here are nice and deburred, and you got good feel in the hand. The file work is nicely cut. It doesn't shred your pocket or it doesn't shred your hand, but it locks your thumb in, so that's really good. The grind is great. He did a really good job on the grind. I know he's known mostly for his one-piece multi-tools, but the grind here is really superb. It's balanced on both sides. It's clean. It's a full flat grind, or a very high flat grind, not a full flat grind. Overall, it's really fun to have something that I designed. I'm not sure if the design is great. I'm not sure if the design is good. I like it, and I used it this weekend to do some like outside cutting tasks and stuff around the house, you know, like lawn and garden needs. So it was fun. And then I also chopped a bunch of food, so some apples and some peppers and some chicken. So it worked really well. It was easy to clean because there's nothing here to hold any gunk. Overall, it's fun, really fun to have a knife that I've designed. You know, it's like something I sketched out as a doodle. So here's a knife in size comparison to, say, like the Kershaw Cryo. The Cryo is a little bit longer, and the Cryo has a much bigger blade. One of the things that happens with fixed blades is that you worry so much about the handle and the blade that you forget how it's going to carry in your pocket, and you really can't have a knife that hooks on your belt unless you're like doing work outdoors all the time. But if you don't do work outdoors, if you like work in an office, you almost certainly have to carry it in your pocket. But I didn't want to compromise on the handle. You know, after listening to the Knife Journal podcast and doing a little bit more stuff outdoors with pocket knives, I realized that the handle is almost always more important than the blade. And if you go back and you look at some of the knives that are, some of the small fixed blades out there, one of the most popular is one called the Micro Canadian from Bark River Knife and Tool. And if you look at the knife, it's almost exactly the same proportions. The handle is about 2/3 of the length, and then the blade is about 1/3 of the length. And what I realized is that for, you know, if I'm not using it as a chopper, a lot of what I'm doing outside requires, you know, it doesn't require like a really long blade, but it does require a good handle. you're doing work on wood, cutting stuff like that, you don't want this giant, thing hanging out there. It just becomes unwieldy, and so you get like a nice small blade, and then you have something a little bit more to work with because you have more real estate for your hand and your handle. I'm not sure if I like the handle. The handle is obviously it's my design, but it's a little busier than what I'd like. So if you look at this knife compared to, say, the Bark River, let's see if I can find it, the Bark River Little Creek. And the Bark River Little Creek is like a super awesome little camp knife. I mean, we went camping, and it just did everything I needed it to do. But if you look at the knife, I mean, the handle is like 100 times more simple than my handle. And maybe this is just like one of those things that, like, when you design your first knife, you're like, I'm gonna put everything in there that I want, and then slowly but surely you realize that, like, simple is where it's at. But this is a really great knife. This is a really, really great knife, and it's a little shorter than my knife, which is kind of a bummer because I wanted mine to be shorter. But I didn't realize how small the Little Creek was. I mean, you look at the specs and you're like, oh yeah, but you don't really get a sense of how small it is until you have it in your hand. But obviously, this knife is a better knife. I mean, it's a better designed knife. This knife, the fit and finish is fine. I mean, it's great. Todd did an excellent job. The blade is really well ground. But the design on this is it's a really simple knife, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility. I think that's probably the issue. That if you have a knife like this, it sort of tells you how to hold it, and that knife doesn't. But it's an overview of a collaboration between myself and PockeTTools, and I'm not going to do a review because I designed it, and it would be really sort of obnoxious if I did a review. So